Well, hello, friends, neighbors. John Hewit's neighbor here. Welcome down the Nook, and welcome to our continued run up to St. Patrick's Day. Today, I've got two 10-year-old Irish single malts, one sourced, one clearly from Bushmills Distillery. So, we're going to talk first about the Whistler. This is an Irish 10-year-old single malt. We'll talk about it more when we get back. And then I've got a classic Bushmills 10-year single malt sort of compare it to and certainly talk about something that I'm sure you've all had. So if you have any Irish, but Irish single malt when you pour a dram, come on back.
3, 4.
Thanks for coming back. As I said in the opener, we're going to talk some Irish single malt. The first is from the Bowen Distillery. Now, the Bowen Distillery now releases their own liquid, but this is very clearly sourced. They opened and released a 10-year-old, clearly sourced, and they say that. It is a mix of first fill, ex bourbon, and then it says aged for 2 years in ex sherry cask. You know what's nice is it is natural color and non-chill filtration released at 46%. So that's certainly how I like to have whiskey if we can. No, everything in here, this color, it's a nice dark, rich color. I know is from the casking, and I like the non-chill filter as well. Let's give it nose and taste. This is the Whistler from Bowen Distillery. That is a very sweet fruit nose, but also right away I get spice, like a ginger spice, like a ginger cookie. So sweet sugar, sweet ginger. I get a little bit of orange on there, but sweet, so orange marmalade, and then just some other fruits kicking around. Very ripe fruits. Okay, let's try it on the palate. Sláinte. It's been a while since I've had the Whistler. I really like their 7-year cask strength. It just caught my attention and kept it. This is good. It seems a little rough and it seems younger than 10 years. It's got the palate for me is quite spicy, a mix of ginger, a little bit of cinnamon, some cracked pepper, quite a bit of fruits. Sweet fruits. I know I've said it like I think 3 weeks in a row now, but like on that edge of apricot, some melons, I got a little more orange in the nose, so not as much citrus in the palate. It's more sweet, very ripe fruit, but also a lot of spice. Another quick sip. Even more cask, woods, some dark oaks, almost not quite new wood, but it's with that spice, like wood tannins. It's fairly oaky, and it doesn't really align with what I think of when I think of Irish, except for that fruity nature, and so that's present. Other than that, it drinks a little hot, a little young, and surprisingly spicy and oaky, which is not really what I think of when I think of just classic Irish. But do I like the whiskey? Well, that kind of speaks to my palate. Lately I've been really enjoying some bourbons, which obviously have like lots more new oaks and whatnot, and so this has some spicing that I'm looking for in whiskey. However, like so for me, like I easily give this, 3 and 3/4. It's a good whiskey for me, and it's presented well, 46% and non-chill filter, natural color. So it's a good whiskey, but it's a little tougher for me to recommend just because it's a little bit unusual. If you can catch a dram of it before you buy a bottle, I think that's the way you'd want to go. But if you like spicier whiskeys, if you like different, not quite fruitcake spices, but just a mix of slightly peppery with a little bit of oak and honeys in there, I think you'd like it. It's certainly a good dram for me, and it's a cool story. I think if I remember, is it the owner's father or the master distiller? I can't remember. It has a tendency to whistle when he's walking around the distillery, and I think that's why they mentioned it. Maybe comment down below if I've got that right or wrong. So now I want to turn to another 10-year-old Irish single malt. So single malts, these are all just barleys, no grains in here. And it's released at 40%. And of course, it's Bushmills 10-year. This is actually a re-review. 3, 4 years ago, I reviewed it. And so it was good to come back with the new bottle release and take a look at this. Now, it's also a combination of ex-bourbon and ex-sherry. However, I'm sure it's both colored. Well, maybe not colored, but just because it's so light, it's quite a bit lighter than the Whistler. But I'm sure it's chill filtered. But it also has similar casking, right? It's got some ex bourbon and some ex sherry. It's only 40%, but it is a single malt, and it's also 10 years. See how it goes on the nose. This to me is so much more classic Irish whiskey. Yes, it's honeyed and sweet and some nice orchard fruit. If there's a citrus, it's more like just a little bit of lemon kicking around in there. But it is a lighter, brighter fruit, and the spices like that really build up on me with this one. They're just not here. This is approachable, easy nose. I think it would have a broad appeal, and it's kind of sweet but nice sweet. Try it on the palate, Sancha. Very light, a little bit coating, but not as thick as this one. And again, very little spice. Instead, it's nice and clean and bright. Bright fruits, just a little bit of fruit cocktail in there. Not near the oaks. I have to really think now on the finish where I get maybe just a breath of some oak, but not like this, where oak is all over this one, spices all over this one. This one is very pleasant, easy drinking, easy drinking, the kind that you could probably relax, chat with friends, and enjoy it, and not realize maybe just how much you've had because it will go down very gently. I like this more now than I did 3 years ago. It's still really only like critically, it's very similar. It's a more refined whiskey, absolutely. Uh, Star value, it's tough for me to give it more than about the same 3 3/4. So we're not in the don't buy it again 3 range. We're not in the 4. You have to go get a range, but it's good. It's a quality single malt, and I do like it more than I did before. And I should have some more Black Bush to compare it to. I would say, I'd always buy a Black Bush over this, but this, $44 Canadian, and it's a nice presentation. It's a 10-year. It's got an age stamp for a single malt for that kind of price. Actually, it should always be on the shelf just as a nice triple distilled Irish single malt reference. It's good stuff. Having said that, I would recommend this to Irish drinkers 10 times out of 10 versus this one. But gritty, spicy, oaky nature of this kind of captures my interest just a little bit more. So my heart's tugged this way. They both got all the same stars, but maybe my conversation has helped you decide if you're thinking of getting a nice Irish single malt for St. Patrick's Day, which way to go. Thanks for joining me here. And I just said on a short, for only 1 week, starting today, I am going to collect all the names of people who go on my socials and like that short that I posted and share it with someone else. And then I'll put all those names and I'll draw for each social. So that should be 4 draws for the, where is it? The Canadian whiskey of the year. I'm going to pour samples and somehow legally get it to whoever is the winner. Anyways, thanks for joining me. Thanks for staying this way all the way to the bitter end, and hope you guys are having a good weekend.